Good morning, Mr. Jogarao, Mr. Pradeep Dhoble, Mr. A.V. Rao, Mr. Tulsi, Dr. Barla, and everyone. Thanks for being here this morning again. All of you know Mr. Jogarao very well, so I'm not going to give too much of an introduction. But I would like to say some small things which to me, Mr. Jogarao has been. First of all, let me tell you that Mr. Jogarao spent 35 long, illustrious years with ITC from 1982 to 2015. Of which 10 years he was with ITC Global Holdings from 89 to 99. And the greatest thing about his career is he joined as assistant manager and rose to be the divisional head commercial. An excellent track record. For me, Mr. Jogarao has been a wow man. Health out of waste, or wellness out of waste, or wellness in the whole space of it. Wellness of mind, body, soul, everything. And he loves life and he's so positive, so helpful to all, not only his dear, but his anybody. I feel that even if he, sees somebody on the road who's stuck with some problem, he may get off his car and, his big car and be there to help that person. That's what Mr. Jogarao is all about. Of course, a family man, but yet a thorough professional. And a gadget freak, if all of you know, especially in music and entertainment. And I'm sure all of you will agree with the Globetrotters, this thing that he is a travel buff. And very impossible to find any fault with him because he's so perfect in everything. That's what's my personal opinion about Mr. Jogarao. And most of all, he is very dear to me and he has done a lot and has always uplifted me in all times of my life when I have gone to him, and I thank him for that. And yes, Mr. Jogarao, I will leave the platform to you. We look forward to this wonderful session on skipping a beat. It not only skipped your beats, sir, it skipped all our beats because we were all in the same phase when you were going through it. We look forward to hearing from you so that we can start taking care of our hearts.
Yeah, but I don't expect anyone to go through this mess here.
No, we'll take care of our hearts so that we won't go through it, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for sparing your time this morning. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. And it's not a very pleasant subject to start on a Sunday morning, but then health is very important to everyone. And most of us are on the wrong side of 60. So it's better to understand the problems went through by one of your colleagues and friends so that you will be able to at least have the precautionary measures up your sleeve, God forbid if something happens. So I don't want to over caution you, but at the same time, you have to be a little more careful with your health and particularly the organ which is called heart, because it's only one God has given in the human body. You don't have like 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 2 hands, 2 kidneys, etc. Heart is only one, and it has to be handled with a lot of care. And unless you do that, it's going to cause a problem. Therefore, heart is very critical, and it's like the nucleus of the entire body. And therefore, I thought, since I went through a lot of mess in my life as far as heart problems are concerned, I'll speak a little about my experiences, and that should help most of you in the group to understand what care one need to take about your heart. Anyway, coming back to the main story, the whole story started at the time of my birth. I had a hole in the heart at the time of birth. It's called congenital disease. And if you have a hole, if you take the heart, for example, if you take an apple and slice it vertically, then the left side and right side are 2 halves. And then again slice it horizontally, you'll have 4 pieces. Left side 2 upper pieces, 1 upper piece, and left side bottom 1 lower piece. Similarly, on the right side, 1 upper piece and then lower bottom piece. The upper pieces are called atrium and the lower pieces are called ventricles. So on the left side, the oxygenated blood actually gets distributed to the entire body, and the right side, the blood comes from the body into the lungs through the right side of the heart. Now, between the left and right sides, there's a center partition called septum. The septum is a like divider. So in my case, when I was born, there's a needle head size of hole in the septum. As a result, what happened? That to the septum hole was on the upper two chambers, left and right chambers. So as a result, what was happening is the blood coming into the heart, getting purified and going through the left side into the body was getting mixed up. So oxygenated pure blood was getting mixed up in the impure blood, which is coming, which is called blue blood actually, and the oxygen content in the blood was going down. Anyway, the problem was not noticed till I was about 42 years, and I lived with this problem for nearly 42 years. And generally, if somebody has got a hole in the heart as a congenital disease at the time of birth,
Ambassador, please unmute yourself. Ambassador.
Please mute.
Yeah. Can I continue?
Yeah, yes, please.
Yeah. Now, the children who have a hole in the heart, they're called blue babies. Generally, they are weak at everything. Their health is generally very weak. They're not active. They're not active in anything like sports or studies. And they have a health problem always. Until such time the problem is resolved and the hole is closed and the blood stops mixing with good and bad blood, the children will have generally a health prone life right through. So unfortunately or fortunately, whatever you call it, I had a very robust childhood and I used to play a lot, cricket, all sorts of games. And then I was good, okay in the school as well. And I never felt that I had any problem in my system. So my parents never thought that, there is something wrong with this fellow. So it went on and subsequently I joined ITC. I worked in Bhadrachalam. Never ever I had any issue with my health. And I was very active. I was playing sports and working very hard. So I never realized that there is something wrong with me. Till such time, when I came for a holiday, we went on a holiday in 1998 to Southeast Asia, covered a lot of countries. On the way back, we stopped in Hyderabad. I was working in ITC Global Dubai that time. And that time, when I went for a executive checkup, the doctor did all sorts of tests, ECG, TMT, everything. And then by evening, the reports were ready. And I was asked to meet the cardiologist. I said, okay, I went and met the cardiologist. Cardiology guy said, there seems to be something wrong with your ECG. Therefore, we need to do some more tests. So tomorrow morning, go to the hospital and get the following test done. So I said, what is wrong? He says, I can't tell you right now. We have to do more tests and then we'll come to a conclusion. So next day morning, I went for tests in Apollo Hospital. They did something called TEE, transesophageal. They put a tube with a camera very close to the heart and take pictures. I have to go with an empty stomach, and then it's a thick half an inch kind of a tube which goes with the camera through your esophagus, through the throat, into the close to the heart, and they take pictures as well as video. Once that was done, it was quite painful. Throat was swollen and all that. Once that was done, about 2 hours later, the report was available. And the doctor looked at me. He said, I have a problem here as far as your heart is concerned. So I suggest you go for an angiogram. He said, what is the problem, doctor? Spell it out. I am ready to hear that. Fortunately, my elder brother was with me, who was a doctor in Bhadrachalam also, Dr. Avadani. We know the medical terms well, and he asked very clearly Dr. Seshagiri Rao in Apollo Hospital, who was the cardiologist at that time, "Boss, what is the problem with my brother?" He said we suspect he has got a problem with the heart. There's a hole in the heart, and that is now very large. So I was asked to go through an angiogram. So then I joined the hospital for a 24 hours stay. They did angiogram. Those days there was no CT angiogram. They'll put a sandbag on your thigh, put a probe through your artery, and then it goes right close up to the heart, and then take pictures and scan and all that. So that was a one-day affair. So I was taken into the theater, and angiogram was done. I could see this thing in front of me. The doctor, Dr. Surya Prakash, who has now become my regular cardiologist, and he is now #1 in Hyderabad as far as cardiology is concerned. He did the angiogram, and he was a dear friend of my brother, as well as he was a visiting cardiologist to Bhadrachalam Mill. So he told my brother and me that there is a serious problem with this fellow. And then I asked him, what is the problem? He says, your septum, which is the divider between the left side and the right side of the heart, is having a 3.17 centimeters gash, like a cut it is. If you cut an apple straight, you'll have that kind of a cut. You have a cut like that in the heart. So I said, what is the issue then? He says that 3.17 centimeters gash, which was there as a needle head kind of a hole at the time of your birth, the heart has been taking extra load, pumping, like, if you have a football bladder with a hole, you keep putting more air, it becomes saggy and it won't retain the air. Same thing was happening with my heart. So he said, as a result, because of 3.17 centimeters, the heart is of your this size, it's almost like through the heart vertically. So the blood was mixing good and bad blood, and the oxygen content in the purified blood was as low as 35%. So the doctor said, it's a miracle that you are physically fit and running around. With your kind of condition, somebody can't even take 10 steps. I said, boss, yesterday I returned from a holiday. We had squash, we had mountaineering, biking on the streets of Malaysian resort, and there was no problem. He says, no, you're good. God has been kind to you. You've been a robust, healthy person. That's the reason why you're able to survive all this. Otherwise, somebody else would have died. And I said, the whole world has turned upside down for me within 1 hour. Then I said, what is the solution? He says, open heart surgery. We have to open the heart, put a patch on the 3.17 centimeters gash with a synthetic membrane patch. That's what they call it. So I said, how emergency it is and how soon I have to get it done. He says, you have to walk into the theater right away. I said, boss, I have come on a holiday. I am working in Dubai. My children are in the school. I just can't walk into the hospital and get into operation of open heart surgery. And then I asked him, what are the survival chances? He says, with the given condition, you may have about 60% survival, 40% going up. Then I said, if that is the case, I have to prepare myself. I can't just go and get myself operated, and if I get killed, my family will be on the road. So what is the time you will give me maximum? And he said, with all the precautions, suddenly my life has changed. I was given a do's and don'ts list. You should not eat this, you should not do this, you should not do that, you should do this, all sorts of things, and medical jargons. So I said, okay, fine, I'll take care of all these issues. And then, of course, a big list of medicines. So how long I can, take care of my loose ends and then come back and get for the surgery? He said maximum 3 months. That was in September. He said maximum by end of this year, December, you should go for the surgery. Then I had to rush back to Dubai, put my children in the school. Then I asked my elder brother's wife, that is my brother's sister-in-law, to come down and stay with my children while me and Padma are in India for a surgery. All that I had to do. Much before that, since I've taken one opinion, it is related to your open heart surgery, I decided to go for the best of the doctors and take second and third opinion. So I went to All India Medical Institute. I went to Escorts, Trehan, Dr. Trehan in Delhi. Then I went to Apollo, Chennai. Everybody said your angiogram is very clear, you have a serious problem, you have to go through the open heart surgery. There's no option. So once everybody confirmed that there's a problem and open heart surgery is the only solution, then I have decided, okay, fine, I'll go for it. Then we had to decide on whom we have to zero down and go for the surgery. At that time in 1998, in South India, Dr. Cherian was number one. In Northern India, it was Dr. Naresh Trehan who was number one. So then I consulted my friends in ITC, Hotels Division, all these guys in ITC Global. They said better get it done in Chennai because one is it's South Indian city. You get all the support and the food of your choice and things like that. And we have a lot of guest houses. We'll give you all the support. So get into Chennai and get it done by Dr. Cherian. Then Cherian being a Malayali, and I lived in Dubai for a long time, I pulled some Malayali strings and made someone very close to Dr. Cherian to speak to him, to tell him that he will not get the surgery done by his assistants and he'll supervise. He'll have to do it on myself so that I'll have the at least satisfaction of getting it done by the best surgeon in the country. So that was taken care. Some people spoke to him and he said, don't tell Jogarao not to worry, I'll do his surgery. So once that was done, then I had to do a checklist. This is first time, for me to go through such a calamity and in the middle of my age, with two school-going kids, nothing was settled in life. So everything was at loose ends. So first thing what I did is, my wife Padma told me, if you get out of this mess, from this heart problem, enough of golf, let's go back to India. So then first thing I immediately thought of my best friend is Pradeep Doble. So I spoke to him. I said, boss, this is my background, this is my problem. What do you recommend? He says, Yoga, go with peace of mind into your surgery, get your surgery done and come out peacefully. For you, ITC Bhadrachalam is like home, walk in any time. So with that assurance from Pradeep, dear friend, then I went into the surgery. In January 22nd, I joined in the hospital in Madras Medical Mission. And Dr. Cherian was head of the cardiology department there. And I was operated on 27th of January. And those days, it's almost like what, 20, 25 years ago, the technology in terms of cardiology treatment is concerned was not up to the level what it is today. So there were a lot of crude methods used. Of course, Dr. Cherian was very well known. His success rate was something like 98%. And these blue babies, as I mentioned in the beginning, with congenital disease, thousands of them got treated by him. I have seen in the corridors of the hospital, small infants, week old, 1 month old, 6 months old, small little babies were done open heart surgery by Dr. Cherian, and the hole was closed. So he told me, see, I have done it on so many people. I'm very comfortable. Don't worry. Before the surgery, he took me around the hospital, shown the facilities. He said, not to worry. We will do a good job of your heart and you will come out successful. But then I asked him, sir, what are the other issues? Because this by birth, this problem is there, and I realized it only at the age of 42. So, what do you think will be the internal complications? He says, look, I remember at that time the typical mechanics when we go with a motorcycle or a scooter or a car. This is boss, अभी इंजन खोलने का है, खोलने के बाद मालूम पड़ेगा अंदर क्या प्रॉब्लम है. पहले कार्बोरेट साफ करते हैं, उसके बाद इंजन का पिस्टन ठीक है कि कंप्रेशन ठीक है, वो सब देख के उस हिसाब से आपको एस्टिमेट बता के फिर काम चालू करेंगे. Same thing in a technical and more polished way, Dr. Cherian told. I'll have to open your heart. First, we know the problem, there's a big hole in your heart. So I'll repair that. But once I open the heart, I don't know, there could be a lot more problems inside. So those problems I'll attend to on the operation table. You may not be knowing, your brothers may not be knowing, but then I'll take care of it, don't worry. So I left my absolute life in his hands and walked into the operation theater. Now, much before that, just as a, education to the people, I'm not saying that again, God forbid, no one in our group, no one in my friend circle, relatives should have this problem. I only pray to God everybody should be hale and hearty. But just giving a list of my problems and the account of what I went through. So before your surgery, generally what we think is what should be going on in the mind of this guy. If somebody is very sick, is likely to die, you always think, what must be going on in his mind. He knows that he's going to die. So how he looks at life, what is his thinking? So I had this experience. So I thought I'd like to share that with you. 2, 3 things have happened to me. One is that you are in the middle of your life. 2, there is uncertainty that you will survive and come out. 3, that your children are very small. Wife is taking care of the kids. She's never been a working woman because she's educated. She took care of the family. And I was running around and earning the money. So if you go away around 40, 42 years of age, then the life goes absolutely helter-skelter for the people in the family. Having married and got the children, it is your responsibility to take care of them even if you are gone. So I sat down, made a complete checklist of where I stand financially, what are the issues, pending loose ends I have, and I explained to Padma. My children were very small, I couldn't explain to them. So I told her, these are the things you have to take care if something goes wrong. And then, of course, my brothers were there. I explained to them, Shastri and Dr. Avadani. Then finally, as the day was approaching, I got admitted on 22nd of January, and 4 days before for the surgery. And that 4 days were like nightmares. You keep pondering, keep thinking, and you go mad. But then I said, at one point in time, what happens is you reach a stage that you stop worrying. You think that, okay, fine, you have taken care humanly, whatever is possible. Rest of it, you leave it to God and see what happens and how you come out of it. So I reached that stage of, nirvana, whatever you call it. Then they prepare you for the surgery, which is a very, very cumbersome procedure, and it knocks you down psychologically. They say of you, there should be no hair so that while surgery, hair should not fall into the system and you get complicated. So they shave you off fully, mustache, except the head hair, everything is shaven off. They then do sanitize fully. So then they keep you ready for the surgery for the next day morning. The day before that, the night before that, they give you a nice meal and a sedative. And the morning around 4:30, they'll come and give you an enema so that they empty your tummy and system fully. Then they give you another sedative around, say, 4:30, 5 o'clock. It will be a mild sedative. You'll be in a kind of dazed situation. And that continues till about 8:30. By the time they come with the stretcher and take you into the theater. At that time, you'll be seeing your family, your people around you, and you feel that, something is happening. You're in a semi-conscious state. Then you tell them, wave the hands, and then, they'll be taking you to the theater. Once you go into the theater, you are given general anesthesia. That's when you are totally cut off from the world. And you're put on ventilator immediately so that the artificial respiratory system and heart function is taken charge, and your heart is released from your day-to-day normal walking. And then the doctor will open the heart. See, in this case, even second surgery also, when you have to do an open heart surgery, they have to cut open the lungs and then open the septum. The septum is the divider between the two halves of the heart. So what happens is, all this is very painful. In fact, for opening the lung, they use very hard material, like something like steel, and cut open the ribs like a cave door, and then they'll go into the heart inside and then open the heart. There is something called pericardium layer around your heart to keep the heart in a suspended condition. So they open the pericardium layer, then take the heart out, and then open the septum, and then do the repair work. So in my case, all that was done after the general anesthesia was done. And once the surgery was over, it took about 12 hours to complete the job. And then he puts the ribs back. First he'll stitch the septum and all that, and then he'll put the rib back and then clip all the rib bones. So in the front of your chest, you'll have the clips which are concealed. And that is a extremely painful area for almost like 2-3 months subsequent to the surgery. So that was all done. I was not knowing because I was on general anesthesia. I was in ICU. So after the surgery, they moved me to ICU. Then Padma and my brothers were asked to come and have a look at it, like look at me from a distance through the glass doors. So ICU, nobody was allowed. So first 3 days I was in the ICU, then I was moved to the ward. You won't believe the day I was moved on the 4th day, they started putting me on physiotherapy because in a major surgery, generally what happens is you lose a lot of blood. I was given 12 units of blood and you lose a lot of weight. I lost good 13, 14 kilos of weight after the surgery. And you'll have a short-term memory loss for about almost about a week. You can't recognize people unless they are very close to you. You can't remember the situations what were there before the surgery, and you ask silly questions, and your body becomes so weak. You'll be with an apron with nothing inside, naked. For anything, somebody has to support you, take you to the toilet, or whatever it is. Or the nurses come and give you a sponge bath, all that, and it was so painful for about a week. Finally, and of course, with all the pain, from the 4th day, these guys start physiotherapy so that I'll not become stiff internally and the system will start working back. So that went for about a week, and around 9th or 10th day, they said, yeah, you can now travel back to Hyderabad. And then again, they gave a list of do's and don'ts and what precautions I have to take, etc., etc. So that happened, and then before the discharge, I spoke to Dr. Cherian. Dr. Cherian told me there are a lot of other issues inside your heart, but then I attended to the main one, which is the big hole you had, which is closed with a synthetic membrane patch. Now the other issues are in the heart, as I sent you the details, there are 4 walls. Those are basically called tricuspid valve, pulmonary valve, mitral valve, and aortic valve. So these 4 valves on the right side where the impure blood comes, tricuspid valve and pulmonary valve actually functions. On the left side where oxygenated blood is used, handled, it's a mitral valve, and then there is a aortic valve. So all the 4 valves, as I mentioned earlier, since 42 years, the heart was taking extra load throughout these 40 years, and it has become very weak. 3-4 things have happened. All the valves were leaky, and because of extra pumping by the heart is enlarged. Like the hole in the bladder of a football, you keep pushing air into it, the rubber becomes very flabby. So that is exactly what happened with the tissue of the heart, and heart is enlarged. So as a result, he said, I couldn't touch any of the other problems. It will be very fatal and risky. You may even die. So I did only the major problem, which is your hole in the heart. And rest of the problems are prevailing inside your heart. They'll have to medicate and keep observing you every 6 months. You should go for a medical checkup. And when the time arises, if you have to do another surgery, we'll decide. He said, what is this, boss? I went through all this trauma, and further another 3 months I'll be out of action. Another surgery. He says, that's so it is. We can't help it. God has already pre-written your fate. So you have to go through a surgery later on. Then I can't decide. But then this is the problem. So I came back to Hyderabad with my brother and my wife, and then I stayed with my brother in Amirpet. And that 1 month stay to recoup, to travel to Dubai was like nightmare and hell. For anything you need support. You can't get up and go to the bathroom. Your body has become so weak. Your voice has become so feeble. Even if somebody calls, you can't answer. And some people say, I was getting calls from Dubai, and when I answer them, they say, are you Joga Rao? Because they can't recognize my voice. It has become so feeble.
Excuse
So I
me,
went
sir.
through all that, and then first thing is you lose your appetite. You don't feel like eating anything, drinking anything. On top of it, you are on heavy medication. So that 1 month was like hell.
Mr.
Finally,
Jogarao,
I required to
Mr.
some extent
Jogarao, Mr.
physically.
Jogarao.
Yeah.
Sir, I'll have to, the session will get cut off in 5 minutes, say 4
No
minutes from now. So please
Okay.
log on again with the same link.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Okay.
Yeah?
Right.
Thanks, everybody. You continue, sir, till it goes.
Continue now?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay. So I flew back to Dubai, and then all the loose ends were taken care. I said, it's Padma was absolutely perturbed. She says, no more Middle East, let's go back. So somewhere in the month of February and I reached March and mid of April, we completed all the problems. Doctor said no driving for 6 months. But then as what I am, by end of mid-March to end March, I started driving in Dubai because unless you drive your mobile, you can't finish your work. So I completed all that, closed my, all activities, took TR, got the luggage all packed, removed all the rubbish from the house. Then by mid-April, 22nd April, if I remember very correctly, I was back in Hyderabad. And then I went and met Pradeep. I told him that I'm back and I'm hale and hearty and I'm okay. And Pradeep being what he is and a senior corporate guy, he said, Joga, I have no problem, you're a dear friend, but then for official purposes, get me a certificate that you are okay to serve. So I went to Dr. Surya Prakash Rao, got a certificate from him saying that this guy is okay now, back to work. That certificate I have submitted to HR guys, then joined ITC PSPD on 25th of May 1999 after 3 months of my surgery. So that is one half of the story. So we have a small interval now and we go to the next part of the story. So we'll start after the break when the next session starts. Any questions after this?
I think we'll hear the total story and then later on we can.
You all can,
Yeah, Varla?
you all can exchange some stories. Till the time we are disconnected.
It's a very
You're
emotional
disconnecting?
story. So we'll come back after the session.
Yeah.
We'll continue till we get cut. So
Very
anybody
emotional.
wants to share, anybody wants to say anything, please go ahead.
I just want to know, open heart means here the heart remains inside the body, but it is open, right? It's not physically taken out separately outside the body.
No. It's not that they disconnect it, because once you disconnect the heart, it will get dead. So it will be removed for doing the pumping activity. So what happens is the ventilator will take charge and it will work as heart to pump and circulate your blood. It will work as a lung and a heart machine. And then your lungs and heart are made free to do the surgery. And once this heart work is completed and it's put back to the position, the lung machine and heart machine are disconnected.
Yeah, he
So
wanted.
for a while it is inactive, but then the blood goes through the system and all that. If you totally disconnect it, then you become dead. The person will die. That's what
Okay.
they say. No, when you are on ventilator, the risk is almost you're gone.
I had an
Probably he
opportunity
wants-
to see a video recording of a open heart surgery.
Okay.
I was wondering whether Mr. Pathak was asking, is the heart removed from the body and put aside, and then no connections
No.
will be there, but will it be removed?
No,
Removing is just-
out of the body, because the area is very small to work. If it is taken out, maybe along with the veins and other things,